New streamers are prone to making silly mistakes when they first set up their stream, like this guy who has his mic in the wrong position. It doesn't help when YouTube creators tell you things like you have to use a 4:1 compression ratio, which is just not true at all. Before you do anything with your microphone, it is a requirement to have your microphone 3 to 5 inches from your mouth. When you put your mic far away from your mouth, it requires us to turn the volume up too high on the mic, which results in more environmental noise and room resonance in the mix. And as you can tell, it doesn't sound great. You also notice with the mic further away, you'll end up thinning the voice and reduce its overall clarity and fullness. So make sure you position your mic correctly, 3 to 5 inches from your mouth, and point it at your mouth. Having an unbalanced mix sucks for your audience. Sometimes the game has loud moments and will drown out your voice, or you have music playing in the background at inconsistent volumes. In order to fix this, you need to gain control of each of your audio sources. The best way to do that is with a virtual mixer like Voicemeeter or SteelSeries Sonar. These tools make it so you can separate your playback audio, communication audio, and microphone audio on different sources within OBS. After you do this, you can adjust the volumes to optimize the mix. You can also get crafty and apply filters to the sources. Voicemeeter is a little bit tricky to learn, but there's plenty of content on my channel to help you with that. The reason we want to separate the audio sources is so we can create a consistent, easy to listen to audio experience for our viewers. In order to get a consistent volume from your microphone while streaming, you need to use compression. The compressor will bring your voice to the front of the mix while simultaneously suppressing your loudest moments. The way it does this is by decreasing the dynamic range in your vocals. The dynamic range is essentially the distance between the loudest and quietest moments in your audio signal. Compression all starts with the threshold setting, which can be looked at as the starting place for the compressor. The lower the threshold, the more compression will get applied. The higher the threshold, the less compression will be applied. While the threshold is the starting place of compression, the ratio sets the amount of compression applied to the signal. The best way to understand compression ratio is with decibel values. Let's start with a 2:1 compression ratio. A 2:1 ratio will compress the volume in half by taking every 2 decibels exceeding the threshold and compressing them into 1 decibel. This will compress the audio exceeding the threshold in half. If you up the ratio to 3:1, it will compress every 3 decibels down to 1 decibel, essentially compressing it into thirds, which means a 4:1 ratio will compress every 4 decibels down to 1 decibel, essentially compressing the audio into fourths. When you use compression, it will decrease the volume of your microphone based on the parameters that you have set. After you compress to your liking, it's important to add gain to make up for the loss in volume. A good gauge for this is to have your mic peak just below -10 decibels when speaking normally in OBS. Most streamers will tell you to use a 4:1 compression, but this is just not a good rule. Depending on the threshold that you set, you may end up over compressing your audio. The goal of compression is to gain volume control by decreasing that dynamic range, which will give us a consistent volume when we're speaking, and to bring our vocals to the front of the mix, making ourselves appear more clear and more full for our audience. Ultimately, there is no specific ratio, threshold, or setting that is going to get you good results. And the only way to learn how to properly compress your audio is from lots of practice. Just remember to not overdo it. Speaking of overdoing it, far too many streamers are hurting themselves with high bit rates and incorrect color settings. Watch this video here to make sure you're not making those mistakes.